Hello, friends and family, and welcome back. I was recently invited to be a guest on the Save Point podcast. And while there, I talked about how remakes, re-releases, and remasters, and the differences between all of those within video games. And I used the Pokemon franchise specifically to describe this. I figured I'd bring a clip from that podcast to show you guys what that podcast is about and help promote their project. If you enjoy what you listen to here, you can go to the links in the description to listen to the full episode of Save Point. Otherwise, you can just enjoy this little piece here.
But specifically, I kind of want to steer the conversation into talking about some of your guys' favorite re-releases or remasters, remakes, reboots, or whatnot. But before we get there, I want to bring in my Pokemon consult so that he can kind of outline what a re-release is, what a remaster is in the world, the exciting world of Pokemon. So let me go catch him.
Wait, it's very
just
topical.
a second.
Hello, Save Point. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Hi, mysterious Pokemon,
Pokemon
correspondent.
analyst.
Why don't you introduce yourself so that we all know who you are?
I am Tanner. You may have heard me on other Nerd It Here First associated podcast projects in the past, which is why I'm here for this Pokemon Pocket moment. Today, the day of recording, August 8, 2021, there was a Pokemon Presents revealing new details about upcoming Pokemon games, and while watching it, I realized that within the Pokemon franchise, there are now remakes, re-releases, remasters, and even reboots.
You sound so solemn.
Yeah, I'll try and sound a little more excited then. This is all even without entering the idea of spin-offs, but I wanted to pop on and use examples from the world's highest-grossing media franchise to illustrate the details of remakes, re-releases, remasters, and reboots. So, I'll start with remakes. Historically, the Pokemon Company has remade Pokemon games every couple of years. They'll take one of their older games and make them anew. For example, they took Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow and remade them as Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green in 2004, and more recently as Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. These games are recreations of older games on newer hardware, where the original story and gameplay is largely left alone, but with new features, areas, content, sometimes in the form of new Pokemon, sometimes in characters and story added in. But basically, they're the same thing, just made for new stuff.
I'm curious because remake is such a weird gray area with Pokemon because there's so many of them, and I feel like the gameplay continues to be so similar. But that it feels like a Game of the Year edition, right? Where they just take the same game,
Yeah, exactly.
give it a give it a facelift and then maybe add a DLC.
Yeah.
I feel like with the Ruby Red, right? It's the same game, just they added Pokemon, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, Fred. They take the new game and they put it in the engine that they've made their most recent game on and just add it in a little bit so they can justify you giving the game a full price tag. So that's the remakes. Then there's the re-releases. This is perhaps the most boring of the category of re's in video games. The first 6 Pokemon games were originally released on the Game Boy system, and for a long time this was the only official way to play them until a few years ago, where they were re-released with almost no changes on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. So these were old games put on a new system with no real changes made to them. And so that one's pretty straightforward. With the next two, we get into the newer stuff that's coming up. So first, we'll go to remasters. This November, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. These games will be remasters and not remakes because they are nearly one-to-one recreations of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl games, but just an HD on new hardware with only minimal additions added to them. So these are more remasters as opposed to remakes because the main selling point and main change is the fact that they are getting a new coat of paint, not that the games will play different or have substantial new content added to them, as opposed to remakes where sometimes there are more new things. And then last of all, and I need to get going so I can get you guys back to your normal programming, but we have reboots. So next year, in January, Pokemon will have its very first reboot in the form of Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game will keep the general concept of past Pokemon games, but is changing just about everything else about how Pokemon functions. The game is changing how battling and capturing Pokemon works, and those are two of the core concepts of a Pokemon game. These games will be open world and will include crafting like every other game before it, but these are two firsts for the Pokemon franchise. They're also changing the setting from a modern and futuristic world to taking place in the past, and also these stories are going to have considerable narrative differences from previous titles, as opposed to the traditional Pokemon route of you going on a journey to become the very best and become the champion of the league. They're going to narratively follow you in more of a journey driven by discovery and research. So, again, it's still a Pokemon game, but other than that, it's going to look relatively unrecognizable in how it functions from past Pokemon games, except it exists in the same world, which makes it a reboot as opposed to a remake, re-release, or remaster, or just another game. So, like I said, it looks like my time is about up. I promised Alyssa I wouldn't kick her off for very long, so thanks for having me on for a Pokemon Pocket moment. And because Fred asked me why I sound so familiar earlier, I will also say, if you want more of me, you can always find me on YouTube on the channel Tanner WJ. Bye, guys.
Grind never stops.
So I think Pokemon illustrates a very good distinction between three major topics that we're going to be talking about. You have your re-releases, which are basically just the same game released on newer hardware. You've got your remasters, which is the same game released with maybe a bit of a facelift and kind of like your Game of the Year edition, maybe some added DLC. And then your reboots, where completely different stories set in the same universe, but maybe they've altered a whole lot. And it's the same type of game, maybe, but completely different story, completely different setting, completely different characters.
Yeah.
So have you guys heard the news
There's news.
about Grand Theft Auto? Yeah.
There you go. I was a little low energy. I was worried about taking too much time, but that is remakes, re-releases, reboots, blah, blah, blah for Pokemon. If you think I did a good job, leave a like. If you think I really could have done better, leave a dislike. Either way, subscribe if you're new. And I've got a couple more videos coming. I have a few recorded already that I'm just working on editing, so hopefully I can start churning out the videos a little bit quicker. But until then, play hard and train on.